So I've been talking a lot about AI agents recently, and the concept of building an AI agent on paper is pretty easy. But when it comes to execution, it can actually be very difficult. But that doesn't mean that every AI employee, every AI agent needs to be difficult. If you know what you're doing, it's actually pretty simple and it can be very impactful for a lot of different business scenarios, right? I think the biggest problem that business owners have today is that they don't know where to start using AI automation. They think it might be too expensive, it might be too complicated. They just don't have the bandwidth or the manpower to actually get an automation done. But the fact of the matter is that there's many different use cases that can save businesses a lot of time and money that aren't exactly very complicated to build. What we're going to show you today is a very simple AI employee that is designed to do one very specific job that was taking up hours per week of a very high up employee in our client's business. So our client had come to us basically asking us to redo the website contact us page, pull the form from the website and instead replace the form with a bunch of email addresses to the various departments based on people's inquiries that are commonly coming in. What we said was rather than change the contact us page, why don't we just build an AI employee to handle the inbound messages that are coming in so frequently? So what we did was we built a scenario in make.com, which you see on the screen here in front of you. And this is it. This is basically the entire build. A very low lift, high impact, high ROI system. And it's really made up of three cornerstones. So you've got email. And from there, we have an AI agent that's native to make.com, essentially reading the inbound forms, these emails, and then determining what to do with them. And then the last cornerstone we have here is Google Sheets to collect all the data that we are passing around so that we can build a dashboard to allow the clients to see data that's being moved and show the results of our automation. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to David to walk through what this is and what it does.
Right. Thank you, Josh. So we're looking at the make scenario, which is, as you can see, it's fairly simple. There's just a few modules in here and starts with one Outlook module. Could be Gmail, could be anything really. That watches the inbox every 30 minutes, every 5 minutes, whatever. It checks for new emails that come in, which it will then pass on to the Make AI. And that's also part of the whole simplicity of this all is that Make has its own AI instance. So this AI then reads the email and depending on a set of instructions, it determines whether this email needs to be, it just classifies the intention of the email, whether it's a direct FAQ match that it can simply answer and reply to depending on the knowledge base, or it's a more complex inquiry that needs to be forwarded.
Yep, and it's just to jump in there, it was really important that we did the audit, right? And we looked at 6 months worth of data, and then we worked with the client to classify that data into these various buckets in order for us to create a knowledge base. So that hour or two we spent with crafting the knowledge base with our client ultimately is going to save them hundreds, if not thousands of hours a year because it is now structured in a way that it can answer any of those questions without the need for human intervention.
It was definitely a very good thing that we did a proper audit with the client in order to work out all of the specific buckets, you could say, that the contact form inquiries can be classified into. Most of them would definitely be a direct FAQ match. So we got a whole knowledge base, a whole document here full of specific FAQs that were quite regularly asked during the 6 months we audited. And this knowledge base here is basically where the AI draws most of its sample replies from, and also the specific forwarding parameters, whether it goes to the insurance team or to servicing. And depending on this knowledge base, the AI is able to quite clearly handle any sort of inquiry, whether it's a direct FAQ match or it needs to forward something to a specific department or multiple departments, or whether it's just spam, or maybe even if the incoming email was to some degree sounded frustrated to some degree, then according to the knowledge base, the AI knows how to properly and compassionately handle the reply. Instead of just sending a robotic reply, it will actually be able to dynamically engage and
it's able to sense whether or not someone is happy or upset, for example. So tell me about the prompt.
Right. Now we're just going to take a quick look at the prompt, which besides the knowledge base is basically the AI's heart and soul, you could say. It makes up its persona. It tells it this is your role, this is who you are, this is how you are. Your persona is helpful, accurate, concise, all these sort of things. Instruct the AI how to handle specific replies.
So what are some of the more important pieces of a prompt that we've created here that are key takeaways for somebody who wants to create this from scratch to do it themselves? What do they need to remember when creating this type of prompt?
When creating this type of prompt, you first, I think, want to ask yourself whether you just want to try and wing it or whether you use AI to create AI, which we've definitely found to be quite a valuable, quite a successful process, really, quite an efficient process. Me as a German, I can very much appreciate some streamlined efficiency, which is why in this case, we actually asked AI to pose as a co-developer of sorts.
So you
And
created a GPT basically to act as a
that's right.
make.com developer to help you through the prompt engineering process.
Right. Exactly
Yeah,
that.
very smart.
And then by doing so, the AI was able to tell us exactly what sort of structure the actual AI will then, the final AI will then be able to read with ease. So just to grab a random example here, you want to tell your AI, this is the input you will receive. It will be the email it's sending from the subject line, the body of the email, and all those sort of things. Has attachment or not, all these little intricacies, you want it to be able to take those into consideration. So then you first specify the input it will receive, and then your primary tasks. Also, the language that in this case, this mechanic here understands is a JSON format, which, just to briefly touch on, looks something like this, which will be exactly what this AI then outputs. It will clearly say reply and forward or reply only, those sort of things. And this array of variables will then be passed forward from the brain over here into the router, which then will determine which route to take next. If one of those JSON classifications clearly states reply body, there is a reply body, so text that will be sent as the reply. If that exists, it then will activate this module and actually reply to the message. If there is at least one, that's why there's an iterator, if there's at least one forward to address, it will then activate this module and forward the email. And then no matter what, it will log the whole thing in Google Sheets and so on and so forth. So this is a combination of using the language that AI speaks as well as that make understands, which is JSON, which is these specific variables here, and then bringing it all together in this scenario.
And again, if anybody wants this, we have all the documentation, so we can send that over. I think the key takeaways here is when we talk about the simplicity of making the make scenario, right? And don't get too scared about the JSON and all the coding language, right? That's what ChatGPT and Claude are really good at, is creating that information for you so you can drop it right into your scenario. So it's not necessarily something that you have to worry about now. It's getting comfortable with setting up the scenarios and really understanding what is the role, what is the goal that you're trying to create here. If it's to answer form fills automatically, then you need to focus on creating a strong FAQ document, right? A strong knowledge base that the AI can use specific to your business, and then creating a prompt that is designed to tell the AI how to act, when to call upon the knowledge base to answer questions, and then how to read scenario that you've built here so that it knows what to do with the information next. So I'm just going to show this inbox here. And so essentially what I sent, I'm just doing some testing here. I'm saying, hey, I'm paying off my mortgage. If I don't make the normal payment on time, will I be reported as late? And so then our AI replied back, hey there, payment can be reported as past due. So it's basically pulling from the knowledge base based on what happens if I'm late. And then perhaps in another scenario where I want to know where to send some information. This is obviously home lending specific, but what should I do if I've made changes to my homeowner's insurance policy? Our AI is then able to reply, hey there, to help with that, you can send your updated insurance binder. So this information you can send to this specific department. So again, this is something that our client would have had to reply to, basically saying the exact same thing, right? Like, I'm in a different department. I don't handle that. So contact this other department to handle their inquiry. So the AI is able to not only reply to the end user, letting them know what they need to do next, but then also what it does is it forwards this same email off to the servicing department in this case, and then they are able to actually look at that inquiry as well and then get back to the prospect. But the point is, though, we're getting them the information that they need, getting the end user the information they need within minutes, and then we are also informing the right department that this inquiry exists and that they need to get back to this person. So very straightforward, very simple, but also look very impactful, right? This is going to save them hundreds of hours. This whole dashboard that you're looking at here is built on Lovable. So a no code platform that's designed to create applications and websites based on simple prompt engineering. And so we were able to actually prompt a forms dashboard into existence that our clients can actually use to measure the effectiveness of our AI assistant. So it tells them the number of inquiries handled over a certain period of time, and we can change that if we want. How many times the AI has replied, how many forwards it's sent to the departments, and then it's giving them an estimated amount of time saved based on all of the inquiries that have been handled by our AI. And the dashboard is very simple, very straightforward to create using Lovable, but it does add a new layer of accountability, not only on our end, but for the client visibility to see that they're actually saving a lot of time and this AI is actually doing its job. And one last thing I think I'll say is that process doesn't stop here once it's live in the wild. Our job is to continuously iterate and improve upon our AI employee, right, by retraining it when it encounters, for example, new inquiries that it hasn't handled before, but can be handled. Right? So we can continually update the knowledge base and refine the prompt so that our AI is performing better and better time in, time out. It's not that complicated to create a simple AI automation. The challenge is in understanding from start to finish what is it you want to accomplish, and then how are the systems going to speak together? Which types of tools are you going to use to accomplish that development? And then how are you going to report success? So all of this can be done. I think David and I spent maybe a week going back and forth and creating this entire thing with our client that includes testing. Testing was a very important part of this process so that we can constantly iterate and update our prompts, our knowledge base, so that we have a working product that our client trusts enough to put into the wild to handle real world inquiries. And then from those real world inquiries, we will continue to optimize and improve our AI assistant. So, yep, that's it. I think that's everything we had to show about this. And thanks for watching or whatever.